numbers, both time and money, by comparing prices across 150 million products from over 5,000 of the best retailers and brands, sharing how they're changing how consumers shop. Can you welcome to stage, please, Yroo co-founder, Nick Ju. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to this this talk. My talk is really about what is Yroo and why we're doing it, and also as CTO, I want to also share some of the somewhat counterintuitive lessons we learned in the last three to 4 years. How many of you actually are technical? Can you raise your hand? Okay, okay, not that many. So I'm gonna keep it not too technical. No worries. So look at our title. It's very, very vague, revolutionizing shopping. So what are we trying to do? So what we are really, our mission is really to bridge and eliminate information asymmetries in retail. So what do we mean by that is think about there's always asymmetry in information in retail. So people who are selling you something always have more information than you who are buying something. Right? Think about if I'm selling a barrel of wine, I know how much I pay for this barrel. I know how long it's been staying in my storage. I know whether it's spoiled or not. I know when it's going to spoil. I know perhaps what the other guy is charging for this barrel of wine. I know what I charged yesterday for a similar barrel of wine. But you as buyer, you probably don't know much. You don't know, how much it's going to cost. Which is why none of us really want to trust easily the used car sales dealer, right? Because you always feel like you're going to get ripped off. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The asymmetry really goes way beyond that. So it's been with us for eons, really. So even 2,000 years ago, ancient Roman philosophers and statesmen Cicero already put this example in his essay on duty very clearly. It's even that story, even today, is really relevant to our retail environment. What he basically poses question is that, let's say there is a famine in Rhodes. So the corns in Rhodes is selling at a very high level, price level. And there's a bunch of merchants. They're trying to ship the corns from Alexandria to Rhodes to make money. So one of these merchants managed to secure a ship and land at Rhodes a day, 2 days before the rest of the merchants. So now, at that point, there's a huge information asymmetry between people the citizen of Rhodes who were willing to pay a premium for the corns and the merchant. This is the only merchant who knows not just how much he paid for these corns and whether it's good or bad, but also he's the only one who knows there's a bunch of other ships, other merchants, who are shipping these corns to the market. So now he has a choice, whether he can just charge as much as he can and profit from this venture, or he want to disclose. He has a choice to disclose that information to the consumers. Let the consumer make a choice, make an educated, well-informed choice. That's what Cicero called the ethics of information. He believes people with an asymmetry in information, access to information, has an ethical responsibility to disclose it to the other party. So this is what we're trying to do. And when you go to a retailer's website today, what you see on their website is pretty much the same 20 years ago. You go to Amazon, not trying to name a specific retailer, it's a general problem. When you go to a retailer's website, what you see is the name of the product, the picture, the price, the discount, shipping cost, reviews. That's pretty much it 20 years ago. Now, however, in the last 20 years, what the retailer gets access to the information has drastically changed. Because the big data advancement as well as machine learning. So what we are trying to do is trying to add Yroo to bring that power from the big data and machine learning capabilities from that side of the fence to this side of the fence to empower you, consumers, to have a full access to all the information that you're entitled to. So unfortunately, we're only live in US today. We're actively expanding in charting our expansion path to the rest of the world this year. So feel free to try it out with the U.S. retailers and ping me on LinkedIn or through our company's website to if you have any questions. So for the rest part of the talk is I really want to focus on a few lessons, technical lessons that we learned, somewhat counterintuitive as we scale, as we grow in the last 3 to 4 years. So this is day one of our company. There's one developer, which is me, and we have a very, very simple stack, a Ruby on Rails stack on a database. And we handle, at that time, 500,000 product, roughly. Today, our stack is, we have mobile app, we have browser extensions, we have serverless architectures, we have analytical big data stacks, we have deep learning stacks, we have tons of stuff. But we only have really 10 developers as we scale up to more than 150 million product that we monitor and process frequently. So how do we do that efficiently? One thing, the first one is basically drag your feet as long as possible. So don't try to over-engineer, over-design. Try to use whatever you have, the cheapest solution, the simplest solution you have, and try to use that as long as possible. The more you can wait, the less uncertainty there are, the better you can make a decision. Second, don't work all the time. So as programmers, professional programmers, you can't just constantly working on your production code. Like I drive every day. I don't call myself a professional driver. I cook every day. I'm not a professional chef, right? So as a professional, as a pro, you really have to practice. So at Yroo, we don't work on Friday. Every developer gets to work on their open source project, study a course, or read a book. TDD, that's test-driven development. There's a lot of benefit for TDD, but one of the benefits that's really understated for a lot of companies is code and forget. So as your stack gets bigger, very quickly the complexity will basically exceed anybody's comprehension. So you can't understand every single line of code. You can't remember every single line of code. So TDD allows you to write it once and just forget about it because you have safety net, you have automation, you have all these tests that will capture any problems if there is a problem with the code. HDD, that's a little less known probably in the industry. It's HDD stands for hypothesis-driven development. So that's how we sort of build features. We don't come up with features like user stories or the traditional use cases. We frame all the features as hypothesis, and you have to test it out through A/B testings to prove if the hypothesis is true or false. The added benefit of hypothesis-driven development is really when you're doing a startup, you're really working in a complex system. In a complex system, the best way to build value is by probing the system, by doing something and see the feedback. But at the same time, also forcing your team to do a HDD type of development really give the programmer the context, the business context. Everybody understand what the business is trying to accomplish, how we can prove the business accomplishing something, what metrics you need to monitor. So we found that's very, very helpful to keep everybody within that business context. Dev everything, that's the last thing. I'm sure you heard about DevOps, but we basically decided to do dev everything, including QA, including ops. We basically want developer to know their impact, all the impact of features that they build, or every line of code that they write. What's the impact to the infrastructure? What's the impact to the quality? What's the impact to the business bottom line? Which is why if you see our team structure, there's only developers. There's no QA. There's no dedicated QA or ops guys or all these other roles. So hopefully you enjoyed my talk. I know it's a bit of a little bit of everything. So thank you for coming again.